Welcome to Elite Yoga's Cyclist Yoga programs. You are going to learn some really important stretches to do that will relieve a lot of your issues. There's also a subscription service that we have where you can learn essential exercises as well to balance out your body. I mean, if you have balance on the outside, inside, front and back, the knee, basically your knee is in perfect posture, for example, and therefore you will not have an injury there. It will be flowing freely and giving you freedom in every range of motion. I'm Clare, I'm your instructor. I've been doing yoga for over 30 years. I've been teaching for over 20, including a lot of professional athletes. So let's start, and we're going to begin on your back and have a strap or a belt close by as well, and a book or a block is important too. Okay, so we're going to start on your back. I'm going to cross your right foot above your left knee. So keeping your pelvis in a neutral position. So basically, if you just relax your pelvis here, and then pick up your foot and knee, and so you're not going to be twisting the pelvis in any way at the moment. Then you're going to flex your foot by pulling your toes back up towards your shin, and then the knee is going to press towards the front of your mat, like so. Okay, so opening the knee, forward. And this stretches deep within your glutes, as well as your glutes, but piriformis muscle, which ties your piriformis muscle, which ties your leg basically to your pelvis at the back. When you sit on the bike, it's very tight because you're always using it. Okay, so then you're going to pick up your left knee off the floor and a foot off the floor and hold behind your knee. Pressing the right knee forward, keeping your pelvis rolling down, making sure you're breathing out, relaxing, opening your shoulders. And so awareness is about bringing attention, and that attention then becomes experience where you can feel it. So feeling is experience, but you want the correct feeling, okay? Putting your foot down. So what I mean by that is you might think your hips are square, but they're really tilted, but you can feel your pelvis, but it's in the wrong position. Okay, so we want to feel the pelvis in the right position and then set that in the brain. And because feeling is in the brain, that's your experience. Arms out to the side, you're going to rotate your pelvis to the left, giving that same shape, reaching out through your hands, drawing your shoulder blades down towards your hips. And so bringing attention as if you had a light feeling up through the crown of your head and down through your sit bones. If you get all the way, you're going to press down your big toe and open your knee towards the front of the mat. This really gets the sciatic nerve chain even deeper, and your sciatic nerve runs through, and some people under the piriformis muscle that we are working on, stretching. Come back and put your foot back down, and then with a neutral pelvis, pick up your left foot and cross your foot above your knee. And so the left knee is going to open forward again, pulling your toes back to your shin, opening your shoulders, and just noticing from right side to left side which piriformis is tighter, okay? Because they're a postural muscle. It has to work all the time. Pick up your right foot off the floor. Okay, and that's why you need to do some sort of stretching, proper stretching, I should say, like this, because your piriformis is a postural muscle. It actually has to work to some degree all the time. So if you're sitting, it's getting tighter. So if you ride, you're sitting and you're pushing resistance, getting tighter and tighter. Foot down, you're walking, it's working. Arms out to the side. So really, all those things are good for you. You just have to learn how to release it. And why would you need to release it? Well, because your sciatic nerve runs through it and then down through your hamstring, and you can get back pain because that nerve, that sciatic nerve, gets pinched because it runs through that muscle. As it contracts, it gets pinched, and it is now touching the nerve. And that's where you get pain down your leg, or it can even radiate up a little bit in your lower back. It's not the only cause of lower back pain, but it's a good one to knock off the list. Come on back for the causes. Foot back down. Okay, so then we're going to stretch your left leg down. Pick up your right knee to a 90-degree angle. Put your left hand on the outside of the knee and the right arm out to the side and line of the shoulder. Turning your pelvis to the left, keeping the backs of the shoulders down on the floor. And so now we're stretching through the outside of your hip, and it's also a pelvis and lower back release. Again, important to have balance, rotation in both sides of your lower back that's equal. Okay, come back and stretch your leg down. Then picking up your left knee and the right hand on the outside of the knee, turning your pelvis to the right. And now notice, are they pretty equal? If you're really stiff and you can hardly go at all, you're just going to, this is one to do, every day at least, maybe twice a day, until you get some movement in your back, because it's not about force, it's about repetition of right action. So forcing will just create injury because you don't have the mobility there with the strength at the same time. Like both those things, and come on back. Okay, now we're going to come on up and crossing your legs. We are going to be in this position. We're working deeper through your piriformis now. So we're going to rotate your knees out. If that's easy for you and you don't really feel a stretch, you can put the right leg on top of your left leg. So now you're in this double pigeon. If you can almost do it, just pull your foot in a bit more, and then you'll be able to work from there and then slowly wiggle your left foot out. Okay, so you have both legs in a 90-degree angle. Pulling back your toes. And then, look, most people will not be flat, so we're going to press your right knee gently down. And when I say gently, I mean really gently, because, again, muscles, as you're stretching that muscle, you don't want to force it. You're just going to breathe out and move a little bit more, just taking time. Okay, and you should feel it deep within your right hip. You might feel it here as well, the sides of your hip as well. And now we're going to intensify it. You're going to roll your pelvis forward. So your hip bones roll forward towards your thigh bone. And that's the same experience as your sit bones rolling back. Okay, so lift the muscles from the tail to the navel, pulling them in and up. Open your shoulders, and it's the feeling of pressing your bottom behind you. Okay, but if you can, put awareness into your sit bones rolling back and your hip bones rolling forwards, which is the same thing here. And then we're going to come up and switching legs. So left foot in front, flexing your feet, or you can try the one on top of the left leg on top of the right leg. And for the moment, just using your hand a little bit to help, just a little bit to help it down. And just for you to get the sense of how you press your knees down. So you aren't actually using your muscles pressing the knees down, but helping it a little bit with the hand at the moment is helping you get the sense of that happening, that motion, that action. And then we're going to roll your pelvis forwards, and you're going to feel quite a big stretch now. So again, releasing piriformis at now a more difficult, a more extreme, like the next step. Okay, so I like to do things in layers. So you start off with the easier ones, and to create a change, you really need to go deeper and deeper without force. So getting a little upping the ante just a bit more and a bit more is the way. Okay, and come on up. So now we're going to move into a single pigeon pose. So this front leg, the main thing is that you need to keep your left hip pointing down. Okay, so the right leg, the end range of motion is a 90 degree, just like the box shape. Okay, that's like, this is the double pigeon and this is the single pigeon. So that is the end range of motion. And a lot of people actually can't beat that end range of motion. So to do it again correctly, because that's where you're going well, it's important to do everything correctly. That's why I teach for your nervous system, so your posture is correct. Then you're going to keep decreasing the angle of the right knee until you can get your left hip pointing down, okay? And then you'll put your elbows down from there and lift your left knee. Okay, so for me, I don't get a stretch, okay, but I'm a yoga teacher. So for me, I need to put it out at the end range of motion, lifting your left knee off the floor. So pressing down your right foot and feel the pressing down your left foot, the top of the foot, and reaching your toes back. Okay, and rotating this right knee out, just as if you had your hand on your knee, okay? So I'm trying to teach you the action within action. That's what yoga is in order to create freedom. So remember how we had your hand on your knee before and how you started to have the feeling of that knee rotating out? That's what you're doing here. It's a very subtle action, but it's happening. And your left leg is if you're reaching that foot back, tuck your tail to your navel and engage your left glutes and open your shoulders. Okay, lower your knee, other side. So now we'll have your left leg in front, and remember it's about your right knee pointing down. Okay, and then press down the top of the foot until your knee lifts up. So the right hip bone pointing down. Okay, so your pelvis is the center of the body, and everything comes in and out of it. And it is the thing that moves you forward. And yeah, and in that being that center, you want to always start there. That's why you want to lift the muscle from the tail to the navel. That is controlling your pelvis no matter what range it's in. Lift the right knee, engage your right glutes. As if you have that left hand, the hand on the left knee, opening it out. And then lower your knee. You should start to feel, you should pay attention now, that a lot of your, any kind of like discomfort and tightness you have now is it's gone, okay, with those exercises. Now, I'm going to lie back down on your back, and you're going to grab a strap. I have my strap today. So you're going to have your foot in the strap. You're going to throw a strap, even if you want to use a belt or a towel around your foot, okay? And I might as well show you the classic yoga pose, which actually you grab your big toe. So your sit bones stretch down to the front of the mat. You've got the strap around the ball of your foot. And that's really important because we've just been talking about the pelvis. So the pelvis has to come down, and your left glutes are on. The left knee points up to the ceiling, and your shoulders are open. And then you're going to press away through the ball of your big toe, okay? And this is actually that classic yoga pose where you press this part of your foot into the strap, or if you're catching your big toe like this, you're pressing that ball of the foot away. And again, your sit bone's pointing down. So it's really important that you're making small movements. You feel this kneecap pull up, your right kneecap. That's your quad muscles are pulling up your kneecap in order to open your hamstrings safely. And then from there, we're going to rotate your right leg out to the side. And so now You're reaching away through your big toe still with the strap. You can keep the strap in the right hand now. Left hand on your hip, and you're reaching through that right big toe. Left heel down, and that's reaching away. Okay. And then we're going to come back to the center, lower your leg, and then you're going to take the strap in the left hand, and you're going to take your leg across. You can take your right arm out to the side. Okay, so this is for the sacral nerve down the outside of your leg. And it's a good release for the iliotibial band, even though I say it's one you can't stretch, but it definitely gets released. Okay, come on back. So you free the iliotibial band through the muscles around it, basically. Okay, other side. Right leg down, sit bones down to the front of the mat. Make sure your leg's not out here or across there. It's in line with your hip. And then left hand on the big toe, or taking the strap either side. Okay, you've got your right glutes engaged, open your shoulders, and the light filling up through the crown of your head, pressing away with your big toe. And not changing the action of the leg. Don't let it waver. It's coming in this straight line over your head. Okay. And so obviously now we're getting through all the three hamstrings. Taking your leg out to the side now though. Now we're stretching through your inner hamstring, but it shifts really then through also your inner thigh muscles. Okay? So there are 5 inner thigh muscles. And they're right along the inside of your thigh bone. And that's what we call inner thigh muscles. And they take a bit of a beating when you're on the bike, especially when you turn your knees in and cycle very quickly. And come back and lower your leg. I'm sure you know that. Take your leg across and taking the strap in the right hand. Okay, so the other thing is with that inward rotation of your knee that you do on the bike, you get very tight iliotibial bands, but it's not just that, it's all the muscles, the inward rotating muscles. So it's important to stretch the collection of muscles. Come on back. But the other thing is it's actually important to balance out the inside muscles again, the outside, and that's exercises that I do give you that I think you should know as safety exercises when you're doing sport. So that's in the program, simple exercises. Now, turn onto your front, and we're going to take your right foot in your hand. We're going to start now with the front of your hip. So with your hips down on the floor, you can tuck your left toes, or you can put the foot flat, whatever you prefer. But both the hip bones down, because remember the hip bones in the front of your pelvis. And if you can't grab your foot, a lot of people won't, especially men. So grab your towel or your a towel's actually pretty good in this position. It's hard to get the strap around your foot and pull it in. And then you can pull on the towel with your hip down. And that's really important. Like, don't be lazy about doing the right thing, because that's how you will change your muscles and remove the block. Remove the block that's in the way. So hips down, and then drawing your foot towards your hip. Now, if a lot of women might not sort of right hips, and you might not be very tight at the front. So basically, like, the more you ride, the tighter you're going to be, obviously. So come on up on your elbow, and you can then increase the stretch. If you're not getting much of a stretch in the front of in your quads and hip, then put the hand on the top of the foot and draw the foot towards the hip. And that's something you want to be working towards doing. Okay, it might be a long time away if for everybody, but it is working towards being able to do this. That freedom and flexibility in your knee and hip. Okay, other side. So we all know as you get older, and the more you do something, the more you're creating that action in your body. Okay, so my sport was professional dancer. I was a proper professional dancer. Danced for 10 years in New York, 4 years in Switzerland, and danced around the world. And I had lots of injuries. And a lot of it was from doing, like, jumping on one leg, 1,000 times, and the other leg, like, 3 times. And come up to your elbow if you're going to increase it. And so it's this constant thing about trying to keep your muscles in balance. So stretch and strength, you want them to mirror each other. So this is like a basic program. I really believe in once getting through this, you'll see how you go. But there are options to feel fantastic with yoga. I like to feel fantastic, and that means sort of the more work you put into yoga, the more you get out of it. You can really completely transform your body with it. But you've got to learn it, and you've got to do it, and you've got to do it often. But start somewhere and start with this stuff. It really works. Release your neck. Okay, so from there, coming up to your knees, and okay, you're just going to tuck your toes under and try to just start to stretch out the ball of your foot. So the big toe tendon especially is really important, and if that doesn't have the flexibility, then that big toe tendon relates as you push off your big toe or use that big toe when you're pulling up and pushing forward with pedals, then that activates your inner thigh, your inner hamstring, your psoas, which affects your back. Okay, so the tighter that is, the more restricted that nerve pathway is. Okay, so speaking of which, you're going to step your right leg forward into a lunge, and your toes pointing forward, second toe pointing straight forward, knee on top of your ankle. Roll your pelvis backwards now, so you roll it under, and you're squeezing your bottom under, lift the muscles from the tail to the navel, and so you can start to get into your big toe tendon more here, and you can feel it as you open and press down on the ball of your big toe, how it is affecting your hip. Okay? And then you're going to lower your knee, and you'll feel it even more. So as you keep the big toe there, tucked under, and if you find that at the moment you can't do the one that we just did, kneeling, start with this. You need to do this one anyways, and then work towards being able to do it. Anything you can't do, you want to eliminate that. Okay. And then we'll go the other side, so left leg forward. That's the thing with yoga. So anything that you can't do, you want to work towards being able to do, because they're your blocks. That's where you need to learn, that's where you need to grow, that's where you need to open, that's where you need to strengthen. Okay, lower your knee. And with that, it removes pain and problems, problems stemming from it. But it's about paying attention, not just tuning out. Okay, pay attention to your body. Okay, coming back now to a downward dog position. So with your middle finger pointing forward and your wrist creases straight, the main thing with a downward dog is to get your back straight. And now a lot of people will not, they'll be challenged. So your shoulder blades round down on the rib cage, round down and forward, and your sit bones lift up and back. And that's the most important thing. Then you start to straighten your legs, then you start to lower your heels. Okay? So in that order. So just working in your back straight first. Middle finger forward, your feet are hip width apart. Start there. Okay, we're going to come down and we're going to stretch your left leg forward and you're going to bend your right knee out to the side. Okay, so if you're stiff or you've had an injury, it's important that you don't feel like pinched in the knee joint here, that you would put your foot further down, okay, till you don't feel a pinch inside the knee. And the end range of motion is up, all the way up near the groin, at the groin. And then you're going to rotate this right knee out. Okay, so a lot of people won't be flat like this, they'll have their knee up. Okay, so you're going to rotate that right knee out. Remember how we had your hand on the knee before, how you were gently, that's the feeling of gently turning that knee out and down. And the left toes point up. Grab your strap and you can put it around the ball of your foot. Some of you will be able to reach your foot like this. So open your shoulders, and for the moment, you're just going to focus on lifting from the tail to the sternum, and your heel stays down on the floor. Okay, that's important. And you're rolling your hip bones forwards, which is the same feeling as your bottom sticking out. Okay, so again, try to get, if you just can't sort of get any healing, just go for sticking your bottom out. Okay, but then try to start to bring your attention into actual action, very, very specifically, is rolling your hip bones forwards. Okay, start to sit up, and then we'll go to the other side. Right leg forward, left knee bent out to the side, and then put the strap around, opening your shoulders, lowering your left knee, and then rolling your hip bones forwards. So these classic yoga postures, this is called Janushasana A, and because there's a series, and this is a brilliant posture because in the end, once you get past the initial big blocks, you lengthen all of these hamstrings because you're rolling your sit bones back. So you get all 3 hamstrings. You are stretching the adductors and the rotating group on the left side, and you're freeing up your QLs on this left side, and at the same time. And it's one of the only things that really does that at the same time. It frees a lot of back pain. We've got to be able to sort of get deep into it to get that. But in the beginning, it's great just to get your hamstrings lengthened. Okay, so from there, we're going to stretch your right leg forward. Sit up on a block if you can't sit up with a straight back. Put your left foot on the other side of the knee. And then you're going to put your left hand around your back. And you're going to press down on both your sit bones. And now we're going to rotate your upper back and your neck to the left. When you breathe out, just turn a fraction more. Go with it. So this is a great opportunity to learn to go with your breath. And you get further without forcing. And other side. So the other thing is to use what I would call soft energy there. So you're not going out with your breath and going and trying to turn. You're just breathing out easy and going with that in a twist. So yoga gets really advanced, obviously, and the more you control your breath and the more you control the center of your body, that's what gives you the energy to be able to do those very difficult postures. So learning how to actually back off how much energy you're using is really important to be able to control the amount of energy that you use. Okay, so don't overdo it. Like in something that's easy, for example. So, I mean, that relates and that teaches you how to master your energy more and more in your sport. Okay, so I use it with dancing. So, and I'm sure that you could use that with your riding. So start doing it on the mat where things are in a more controlled situation. You can focus on it. Okay, rotating the knees out and down. So what do I mean by that? Make everything as easy as you can, because by finding flow and ease, that's, say you're riding at almost full capacity. If you can find an ease there, that's the only way you're going to be able to ride faster and harder. You've got to find ease at the level where you're at. Yeah. That's the thing. Finding ease at the level that you're at. Okay. Right. So that is Baddha-Konasana. That's a classic yoga pose. And that stretches your inner thighs and balances out your piriformis and other rotating muscles. Okay. So from there, we are going to come back to that downward dog position. Okay. So we've got your sit bones up. So it's like sticking your butt up and back. Your shoulder blades around and down and forward. Right. Lower your knees. Now, you're going to keep your toes tucked for the moment, and you're going to kneel up. And then you're going to roll your pelvis under, like we did in the lunge. Backwards tilt. Glutes engaged. And then you're going to lift your sternum forwards and up to the ceiling. And when you do that, we're going to take hold of the backs of your thighs and roll your shoulders back and out. Okay, and that might be enough for a lot of you. Some of you might be actually able to take your heels and relax your head back. This is camel, but I'm doing it with your toes tucked. Ustrasana is the Sanskrit name in camel. And then we're going to come up. Okay, so your size that attaches the other posture muscle that attaches your thigh bone through your hip to your lower spine also has an attachment on your diaphragm. So you need to do some sort of back bending in order to fully stretch your size muscle. Okay, at the same time, you round back too much repeatedly in a day without going the other way, and that's really important. Okay, so get working on that. All right, one more of these downward dogs. Downward dog's a neutral spine. Straight, long back, legs down and forward. It's a neutral spine, only upside down. It's also classified as an inversion. Okay, so we're going to come up to standing. And then we're going to have your outsides of your feet parallel to the edge of your mat. So you feel a little bit pigeon-toed. And we're going to do a standing forward bend for your hamstrings fully stretch. Unlock your knee and pull up your kneecap. Okay, so they're not bent, your knees, but they're not locked back. Okay, so you're pulling up your kneecaps into the quad muscles, which will open your hamstrings. And then when your hands on your hip bones, you're going to roll your pelvis forwards. Rolling it forwards, like we did seated. Okay, which is the same thing standing as lifting your butt up to the ceiling. Right, and then you're going to stretch all the way down the backs of your legs when you do that. So, rolling your sit bones up, pressing your feet down. Sucking in from the tail to the sternum, opening your shoulders. And then we're going to bring your pelvis down to stand all the way up. Bringing your pelvis down. And thank you very much. I will see you next week.